Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. It's about time for another this type of challenge video. So in this type of challenge video, we'll be smacking the event robot with 17 different teams. Yeah, I know, I'm rather late on making this video. I had gathered the footage in the last couple of days of that boss rush event in patch 3.7, but didn't get around to editing it until now. Anyway, as usual with this type of challenge videos, my goal is to get a rough benchmark on how strong our favorite band of misfits are. Now this is at close to the peak of these characters' power levels, since I'm a whale after all, and most of these characters are at Constellation 6 with Refinement 5 weapons. This event blessed us with our favorite giant culinary punching bag, the Robot Chicken. This is a unique variation of our favorite bird-shaped nuts and bolts dispenser that doesn't require an archer to immediately shoot it out of the sky, unlike the previous Abyss 12 Robot Chicken, which literally flew into the sky the moment it got up. This Robot Chicken also has a unique mechanic where it eventually increases its resistance to the element that damaged it the most and then decides to fly up into the sky. As such, if a team cannot take it out before this, it will struggle immensely. Anyway, let's lay down the rules for today's this type of challenge video. For this challenge, only the max HP modifier and timer will be selected. I also allowed every team to pick up 3 of the buffs of their choice that benefit them, because without these buffs, a lot of teams struggle to complete it. And also, this is kind of like simulating Abyss cards to a certain degree, and it's fairly balanced given that all the teams can select 3 buffs. Now of course these buffs do favor some teams a bit more than others. For a couple of teams severely lacking in artifact quality, I did use some crypt food to bring their artifacts more in line with their peers. No precasting is allowed since that actually does benefit a lot of teams a lot more than other teams, although I do make one exception for one team, which I will talk about when we get to that. And this Robot Chicken has roughly 2.3 million hit points, which makes it one of the most beefiest enemies that we've had the pleasure to beat up on. Without further ado, let's play the runs and then I'll provide a summary of the results and my commentary on it. But wait, we have the most important part of the video, the disclaimers.
All runs in this video can be improved. I simply do each of these runs a few times and pick the best time for each of the situations. I'm not here to grind infinitely, just save a few frames to a few seconds. Each of these runs are done to the best of my abilities and problem solving within a reasonable amount of time. This is simply an anecdotal comparison between these characters and my levels of investment, problem solving, and skill. Because my characters are all at Constellation 6 Refinement 5, it's not an accurate reflection of their power levels at lower constellations. Just because character A is better than character B in a specific scenario does not mean that character A is better than character B.
Please take everything with a giant grain of salt.
らっしゃい。しびれさせちゃった。だから痛くしちゃうかも。いけディオ。痛くしちゃうかも。私のお家。
風の雲
来戦イカズチに捧ぐ。瞬く間に我が剣よ影に従え。そりゃ陣営のごとく。はっはっはっはっいけはっはあふっ逃がさない。
全力攻撃風の雲
桜吹雪。はっさよなら。
全力攻撃もみちは
イカズチに捧ぐ。ナイス無我の境地。どの目が出る。
全力攻撃雲が借りなく時
火の用心。おっとえっはっいやあっちやっ
全力攻撃だ風の雲の行くごと
料理の時間だよ。話が通じない。
痛いから我慢しろよはっやっはっ
By ordinance divine, teamwork is strength. Wind, hear me. Access denied. No touching. Shadow. Make yourself at home. Decided by destiny.
Here you are. The process of elimination.
Joku.
風の雲の行くごと
覚えたわよ。私のお家にいらっしゃい。それいや根こそぎにしてあげる。目くらましいや痛くしちゃうかも。私のお家。
風の雲
So while our poor Dea and Ito finish up their runs, allow me to add some thoughts on the clears. Now I mentioned earlier that pre-casting wasn't allowed, but I made the exception for Hu Tao since she needs to be at a very low amount of health in order to utilize her Constellation 6. Assuming you're not in the first chamber of Abyss, you'll almost always have a way to lower Hu Tao's HP to the desired amount. Unsurprisingly though, Hu Tao plus Ayaka, the most infamous of nuking combos, was the fastest here with an 8-second clear time. Now I think Ayaka and Ganyu clearing so quickly isn't all that surprising either, as these two cryo queens have been the cornerstone of speedruns since their releases. And up next, Raiden didn't disappoint either, being one of the older DPSs at this point, but that certainly didn't slow her down, although she does run out of steam much more quickly than some of the other teams on this list, which if this fight was a bit more drawn out, she's gonna start to struggle. And it's also great to see friend of the channel, Mr. 89's Alhaitham do so well here. Alhaitham did the best out of the new DPS characters, with Wanderer close behind him. Although it's likely that Wanderer could have done this a bit faster to tie it up, but alas, I only tried a certain amount of times. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to run a Yelan Vape team, but a Mono Hydro Yelan team cleared this in just 14 seconds, which is absolutely outrageous given the complete lack of reactions, the slightly lower artifact quality, and the fact that this is a Mono Hydro team we're talking about. Nahida did manage a reasonable time here, but she did need a bit of help from Yelan, because Nahida on her own lacks the personal damage to be able to one-cycle the robot chicken. Yoimiya's run can likely be improved by a second or two from the artifact quality alone, but her 15-second clear time is still a very solid clear time. And Eula, well, the robot chicken has a ton of physical resist, so this fight was just stacked against her, but she still had a competitive 15-second clear time. Up next is Tignari, and I had to use 2 of his entire ECACACA cycles to break down our robot chicken friend. A surprisingly competitive team is this Nahida Hyperbloom team, where we entirely rely on Nahida's damage and Hyperbloom damage to finish off the robot chicken in a reasonable 17 seconds. And Tartaglia's international team is just a few seconds behind the top tier teams, which is remarkable given how ancient of a team this is. Now after Tartaglia, well, I struggled a bit with Yai and Kaching, as I just didn't have enough damage to cut out an attack cycle or 2 for these 2 characters. And alas, Dea and Ito were quite a bit behind since neither of them were able to beat the robot chicken before it gained its resistances. Hats off to Mr. 89's Melt Dea though, as it was a creative approach and allowed her to come reasonably close to single cycling the robot chicken. So yeah, you can kind of view this as a quick meta summary of 17 popular teams from me at whale levels of investment. Notably, I didn't get around to a Nilo team, a Vapoulon team, a Xiao team, a Sino team, and some others, but alas, perhaps next time in another this type of challenge video. Let me know if these results surprised you in the slightest or in any way. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Want to Lose, signing out.